Hi guys, Elle here. I have a freaking cool review for you today. I really do. This deck is a favorite. It's wonderful, it's beautiful, and it is very hard to find information on this deck. I don't even think it's listed up on Eclectic at all. Okay, so before we get into things, let me clarify what you guys are actually looking at right here. So this is a box set for this deck. There's a few different editions of this deck available out there. This is one of the, I think, original. There was only a limited amount of them created. Very often you will see this box set going for like, I don't know, like over $100 or something like that. I did get mine on eBay a few years ago now, and I think I maybe only spent like 60 back then, somewhere in there, so you might have to hunt around a little bit. I think Tarot BG might actually still have this box set available, but it's definitely, and the prices are a little bit high. So the other thing that is available out there is, I think back in 2015, sorry about all the dates, guys, it's very hard to find information about this deck. It's only been published in the Ukraine, any of these editions. But yeah, so I think around 2015, last year really, at some point, maybe a little bit before, whatever, they made a bit more of a mass-produced deck. So there's two different sizes of that one available also. There's a mini one that I think is like mini Lo Scarabeo sized, and then there is actually like a standard tarot size deck, this deck in standard tarot size, and the only thing that I've heard about it is that the cardstock is flimsy, maybe a little bit on the thin side, something like that. Whereas compared to this deck, and I'll show you in a sec, the cards are massive. Like, it's actually kind of cool. They're really big cards, like oracle-sized cards almost. And the cardstock is like crazy thick. Like, that shit is sturdy. This is literally the only deck that I cannot riffle shuffle with, or my only tarot deck that I can anyway. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, there's those three different sizes and three different, you know, cardstock kind of things going on out there. Now, the only fault that I can find with getting this box set for me personally, unless you're not in love with having big cards or something, is that there is nothing in English. Like, the cards are in English and Russian, but the entire book, there's no English translation here. It's all in Russian, I believe. So if you get one of the other editions, the mini size or the standard tarot size of this deck, it does come with a little white book. This is what I've heard. And there is some sort of an English translation in there. I've heard it's kind of like a rough English translation, but you do get that with the other decks, not with this one. But however, this box set is kind of cool because on top of this book, which I can't read and doesn't really do me any good, it looks like this. It's actually it's a big, meaty book. It looks like I might have to further my Russian studies. And there's color pictures of like all the cards, I think. Is it all of them? I don't know, I can't read it. Yeah. So, you know, if you can read that, go for it. It's awesome. And it comes with a nice like cardboard box. I didn't empty it out. Everything came in there. I used this box to store all my, or some tarot bags and some tarot charms and stuff. I love the box. That's the High Priestess card, by the way. She is, or the title of the painting where this comes from is the Mother of the World. I'll explain. Agni Roerich, the painter behind all this amazing artwork, in just a second. And then the other thing you actually get with this box set edition would be the bag. And I'll explain this symbol too when we get to it in the tarot deck. Everything is just magic with this deck. But it's a beautiful, like, crushed velvet, navy blue bag. Everything is just so beautifully coordinated with this set. It's delightful. Okay guys, so when this deck first came across my radar, I had that moment where you're like, oh my god, this deck, it was made for me. Like, that's my deck. Oh my god. It is a collection of paintings by this artist named Agni Roerich. Agni Roerich is a Russian painter, but he's also like a famous theosophist and and a writer, and he's been interested in like the occult and archaeology and philosophy and Buddhism, spiritual practices of the East and the West. He's a famous world traveler. His wife is also rather famous in those circles. Helena Roerich is her name, and she's also a theosophist and an author, and she's even said to be like clairaudient and has communications with one of the masters, Master Moria, which theosophists out there would be well acquainted with. Master Moria. Anyway, the entire history of theosophy and the Theosophic Society and just that whole world is a fascination of mine. I love theosophy and I love the history that surrounds it. So he, as an artist, really just fit right in there. I was familiar with his paintings and with some of the things he's done in his life, some of his writing. He's also like obsessed with the idea of shambhala. It's the focus of a lot of his work. Shambhala, by the way, if you've never heard of it before, it's sort of the same idea as like Shangri-la. It's this place of like tranquility and peace, but it's really more a state of consciousness, but it's one of those places that people are always searching out to find the exact location. Where is Shambhala located? Nicholas Roerich or Helena Roerich, I forget who said it, but they've said, it's a holy place, and it's where like the earthly world links with the higher worlds or higher states of consciousness. And they've said, in the East there exist two Shambalas, an earthly one and a higher invisible one. And I just find that whole idea so fascinating. It's so beautiful. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky even has commented on it, and she said it's like where I wrote it down. It's like where the messiahs and messengers will appear before the destruction of the world or before the end of the Kali Yuga. I love it. Helena Roerich even is like translated the Secret Doctrine into Russian, and like they're super involved. They even started their own occult theosophic leaning sort of society called the Agni Yoga Society, and that is where the deck gets its namesake, the Agni Roerich Tarot. Fascinating stuff. If you guys want to know more, Wikipedia him. It's very easy to find information on these guys. They have written lots of books and poetry and traveled the world, and it's wonderful and magical. And you get that same feeling of wonder and mysticism from his artwork. And there's a lot of artwork out there. His body of work over the years is just truly massive. This is like barely puts a dent in it, what was chosen for this tarot deck. But the images that were chosen for this deck are wonderful. They're beautiful. They're perfect. So another problem that I've sort of seen people come across when they are interested in this deck is they want to know if it is a readable deck or if it's just sort of like an art deck that doesn't really make much sense with the tarot. And I will show you as we go through. I'm not being a weirdo. This deck is 100% readable. Very, very much so. It's very intuitive. All the images are appropriate, and it even follows a Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, like a lot. It's uber Rider-Waite-Smith, which is kind of cool. Okay, guys, I set the book and the box aside here. This is the bag that it comes in if you get the box set. I believe the backs of the cards and all the images, and I think the writing even, is all the same, even if you get one of the smaller versions of this deck. But the bag is such a nice touch. Like, it matches the backs of the cards here too. That's what the backs look like. I did edge this, by the way. I tried to edge it first with like a blue, like a blue stamp pad, and I noticed it was coming off all over my fingers. You can see I was actually handling this deck a little bit before I filmed the video, and they're tinted blue a little bit, still from that old damn stamp pad. But I went over it again with a blue Sharpie, and that's not coming off. Anyway, so mine is edged. When you get it, it'll be white, and the backs are not reversible, but they are lovely. I'll talk about that symbol actually when we get to the Pentacles. That's the symbol of the Pentacles in this deck also. It has a lot of historic significance though. It's really cool. Real quick before we jump in also, while all the artwork is Nicholas Roerich's artwork, there have been some things added to the images, like suit signs. Really, it's simple stuff like that. So the woman who gets credit, however, for putting this all together, like the author of the deck, even though it's not her original artwork, and I think she wrote the book also. Again, I can't read Russian, sorry. But her name, just so you guys know, is Svetlana Traskovskaya. Traskovskaya. And this is all published in the Ukraine. I'm pretty sure that the book is in Russian and not Ukrainian. It's definitely a Cyrillic alphabet, if that helps. I believe it's in Russian. So there are a couple things that you might even notice on the back right here. I know I see it over here. That little bit of redness over there, I think it's honestly just kind of a misprint, and there's a lot of that in this deck. Nothing is exactly precise. Things are a little bit off center. There's a lot of typos. Like every single knight in this deck is misspelled, at least the English word is. But it's quirky. It's cute. It's nothing that makes it unreadable or hard to see the images, nothing like that. But like every single back, it feels a little bit different just because of the way it was printed. First of all, can you guys see the size of this? Whenever I'm talking about a really thick deck, I always pull out my Wild Unknown because it's such a popular deck, and I think people are sort of familiar with how thick it is compared to other decks, and it literally, like, it dwarfs even the thickness of the Wild Unknown. Can you guys see that? They're even thicker cards, and Wild Unknown really is pretty standard tarot size, isn't it? Let's do one of these. They are huge. I have to do like a 52 card pickup and like shuffle them that way and then overhand shuffle. It's really probably the only tarot deck that I cannot riffle with. But that don't stop me from reading with it. All right, y'all, and here we go. So this, like I said, it really does, bear with me, it follows the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. It really, really does. Excuse me. There are a bunch of cards that look quite different, but they really do still have the same meaning, and then most of the deck, even, you'll see it resembles Rider-Waite-Smith too, as far as the visuals go, even. So this one does look very different, but this is your Fool, also numbered 0. You could potentially trim this deck. You just have to be careful, guys. You'll be cutting off the words, and while in most cases all the suit, like all the pip cards, have like 5 wands on it also, they all don't. Not every single one does. So be very careful if you decide to trim things. It might be hard to identify the card unless you've worked with this deck for a long time. Or write on it or something. I see people do that with the Mary L all the time. But yeah, down at the bottom here, you have the title of the card, which isn't always different. It is different for this one in Russian, and you have it in English, and the number is just at the top there for all the majors. So the name of this card is The Way to Kailash. And Mount Kailash is an actual mountain in China, I believe it is, also known as the abode of Shiva. And sort of the mystical significance of the mountain is that it sort of houses like a mystical library, you know, some sort of an energetic repository of ancient knowledge and ancient wisdom. It always reminded me of being somewhat similar to the idea of the Akashic Records and how that'd be located like beneath the Sphinx in the earth in Egypt kind of thing. There's also, it's interesting, there's associations with, like, you know, the earth having its own chakras, and Mount Kailash has been associated with the Sahasrara chakra. There's even a theory out there that the mountain itself is actually a man-made pyramid, because it has this really interesting shape to it. Anyway, so that takes the place of the Fool card, and that idea, too, is just so... Isn't it good? It's good. All right, this is your Magician card, number 1, and that is Nicholas Roerich himself. It's a self-portrait, I believe. And then this stuff has been added on. This is what some of your wands look like, your cups, your swords, and your coins. So you still have all the classic, or a depiction from each suit to give you that classic Magician card feel. And then it's called the Master, not the Magician here. Number 2, one of the most beautiful paintings, period, in the world, is your High Priestess. And she is here called the High Priestess and Mother of the World. Mother of the World is also the name of this painting. Isn't she amazing? I mean, I'm going to zoom in again. Take a close look. This is just unbelievable work. Look at her halos. Isn't she gorgeous? I love that card. All right, there is your Empress. Number 3. I'm going to try and go through kind of quickly. There's certain cards or paintings that I'm really a big fan of, and I'll talk a little bit more about them, but you guys want to see it, right? That's your Emperor. He's also called owner of the house. How appropriate is that, though? There's nothing in this deck that jumps out at me as being weird or wrong. It really takes it to a bit more of a like spiritual place, though this Eastern philosophy thrown in. And he's not he's not an Eastern artist. He's a Russian artist who just traveled throughout Asia and loved the ideas and the philosophy and the spirituality. This is called Maitreya, is the Hierophant. And I believe that's actually supposed to be Maitreya in the painting right there. It works. It all works. The Lovers is number 6. Let me zoom in on this guy too. Look at all the detail here. Agni Roerich, by the way, just to give you sort of a time frame, he was born in 1874 and passed away in 1947. And I think he created over 7,000 paintings and books and just everything. It's a massive body of work. This is your Chariot, called Confucius and the Control. Still numbered number 7. It has all your classic Rider-Waite-Smith numbering you'll see in a second. Strength is number 8. And this painting is Confucius, I believe, too. And Control. Doesn't that just work for the Chariot? Yep, Strength here is number 8. A very different depiction. But it is still called Strength and Conqueror, the Serpent. The title of the painting is The Conqueror of the Serpent, I believe. But take a moment and just kind of sit with that. Like it really works with the idea of strength and what the card is all about. And the depiction is just, look at those pinks. Oh, it's beautiful. You wouldn't think that a blue border always works with all these images either, but it really does. I think the whole thing is so cohesive. This is your Hermit card, the Hermit. And a number, I had the other one, number 9. I always thought it was funny. There's an actual painting that Roerich did titled The Hermit, I think. The Hermit, and then in parentheses, like the Old Man or the Old Man of Wisdom, something like that. But this is not that painting. This is a different one. You see, he's actually holding like a little light there, though, and he's all illuminated. Kind of in a cave. There could be water or fog. I don't know, but it works for the Hermit, doesn't it? And then the actual title of this painting is The Teacher. Here's one where things definitely differ a little bit. This would be your Wheel of Fortune card, and here it is, White Stone, Horse of Happiness. I think that's the name of the painting too, White Stone. And you're going to have to sort of do your own work with a handful of cards, really, but there's not a lot of things that really do differ. The Fool jumps out at me, the Wheel of Fortune jumps out at me a little bit, but this horse, I don't know, it works for the wheel, it really does. Oh, check this out, this is your Justice card. Also, Kuan Yin. Isn't that beautiful? Lots and lots of his art is depicting the Himalayas, he has this ridiculously beautiful way of drawing the mountains. Oh, it's unbelievable. Here is number 12, your Hanged Man, the Hanged Man / Crucifixion. There's some elements of Christianity, subtle, very subtle ones, kind of throughout. It really feels more like a Buddhist kind of a deck to me. But Roerich's artwork, he painted like Russian saints and all sorts of things. This is the Death card, the Transformation, written right there on it. How good is that? Number 13. the name of this painting, I know this one is the giant. Isa, I think, and the skull of the giant. That's what that is. Here is number 14, your temperance card. Let me zoom in so you can see her there. She's like going across a bridge, which works for temperance, doesn't it? The name of the original painting, I believe, is From Beyond, and it's definitely zoomed in. There's actually another person, another woman, I think, sort of down here watching her walk across. But I love the way that they've recentered it almost. It's perfect for temperance. Here is your devil card, number 15. Zoom in. Mahakala, the demon. Isn't that gorgeous? And then your tower becomes more about the lightning. It's called the Tower / the Lightning. Beautiful. Here is your star card, also called the Lotus. Let me zoom in. Lotuses, lotuses. Isn't that an amazing star card? This is one of my favorite cards. Just the moon here, and this is from a painting called Captive Maid, I think. Captive Maid. The sun. Oh, I love this card. Isn't that different? It's called Prophet Elijah, or the Prophet Elijah / the sun. Look at how they just glow in the chariot up there. Isn't that amazing? And then your judgment card here, number 20, is also called The Last Angel, also being the title of this painting. Look at that. And number 21, another one that really does look rather different. It doesn't even have the name of the world, actually. It's called Integrity / Trone. Do you guys see that? Trone God. I feel like it's supposed to be throne of God, maybe? Not really sure. Is trone a word for anything? Either way, I think that this image is rather befitting in a way for the world card. Very different. You still have the central sort of Jesus figure, which the Sophia, who we often see represented on the card, can even represent. There's so much in common there. He's surrounded by what isn't your typical depictions there, but different angels, and it just works. I feel like there's even references to the other suits and the elements here with the wands and the cups, and I don't necessarily see the swords and the pentacles, but I feel like everything just sort of alludes to it. Yeah, that's the world card. So here, as we go into the minors, is where you guys, I think, will see just how readable of a deck this really is. Most of the cards will feel like very Rider-Waite-Smith. Here is your Ace of Wands. Check out the spelling of ace. What else? And then there's no numbering at the top or anything, obviously, just the writing at the bottom here. And the suit symbols do sort of change as you go throughout. Like, all the wands don't look just like this. It's interesting how they've brought things all together here. Check out this Two of Wands, though. Very Rider-Waite-Smith feeling, but oh my God, don't you just want to step into that world, into that painting? And then he's got one wand in his hand and one wand over here. I think that's the original too. I don't think anything was added to that one. Here is your Three of Wands. You have the ship coming in, you could say. And you can make out like 3 wands on the mast over here, maybe, something like that. I wouldn't worry too much about finding, the 3 suit signs or the suit signs in every single card. In most of them, they are there. That's the only reason I warn about trimming the deck until you're really familiar with it. But isn't that beautiful? Here's your Four of Wands. I just showed in the Four of Wands video. I love this card. This is another one, actually, that you don't really... you could maybe see four wands in there, but it's actually really a traditional kind of a tarot image, even though Mr. Nicholas Roerich does not appear to have been trying to ever create a tarot deck. Here's your Five of Wands, and there are 5 wands all put together over here as the 2 dudes fight, wrestle, hug, whatever's happening. That, I think, was added. Here is your 6 of Wands. Let me zoom in here. So while no one's necessarily on horseback here or anything, you still get the idea of like victory and all your classic stuff. Here is your 7 of Wands. And I love the way they've done this. He actually has quite a few paintings that are like kind of Viking themed, and this one looks like one of those for me. I'm not sure if it is or not. He's got one called like Viking Maiden or Viking Princess or something. I love that shit. But yeah, you can see, I don't know, this could even be like Chinese or something. It probably is, but it just reminds me of Vikings. Anyway, he's looking down upon them. You know, you still get that classic who's got the higher ground kind of thing here. And then you have your wands back there, and over here, there's 5 back there, and 2 over here, making 7 wands on the card still. This one's kind of cool, the way that they got the 8 wands going. You have like 4 torches that people are carrying, and then you can see the reflection of each in the water below, so it gives you the idea of like 8 wands, which works so good here. And you get the northern lights in the sky, and they're just moving. They're moving fast. They're marching along, right? Works for the 8 of Wands. And here is the 9 of Wands, your willpower and perseverance card, right? I feel like actually, yeah, I think in the original painting, all these wands are actually there. It is zoomed a little bit, this one. Book of Wisdom. I think that's what the original painting is called, the Book of Wisdom. Beautiful. So it gives you the same feel. And oh my god, check that one out. Feels very familiar for the 10 of Wands. All right, on into our court cards. You have pages, knights, queens, and kings. Very classic. However, like, you know, not everybody is throned. Your kings and queens aren't necessarily throned. Your pages aren't necessarily standing. And I don't think any of the knights are actually on horseback. Although Roerich did draw a lot of people on horseback. I'm surprised that all the knights are not on horseback, seeing just how Rider-Waite-Smith they went with this deck. You can see again over here, there's like all these little misprint things. It's not quite centered around. So if that kind of stuff bothers you, and if typos bother you, you might want to be careful with this deck. Oh shit, that's actually the only knight that is spelled correctly. I lied. The other 3 knights are all spelled wrong. It actually goes like K-I-G-N-H-T or something like that. It's kind of weird. But he's a good Knight of Wands there, isn't he? It's nice to see different things, though, I gotta say. This is probably one of my favorite cards in the deck, too. Check out your queen here. Oh, she's just glorious. Up high in the mountains with her fire in her hand. So good. The colors that he uses in his work is just, it's amazing. And check out your king. His big old halo. Beautiful. All right, and on into our cups. A very simple, beautiful, classic cup, bowl, whatever. I love the brightness of the 2 of Cups. And there are 2 cups and a couple, very classic. You even have what looks like 3 women here on the 3 of Cups. Not as celebratory as the Rider-Waite-Smith, but yeah, same idea sort of going on there. Here is your 4 of Cups. Oh my god, how beautiful is that card, guys. Look at the bird spirit, it looks like to me, reaching over her. And it really just, it gets at that same Rider-Waite-Smith card meaning, doesn't it? You just feel it. Here is the 5 of Cups. Isn't that great? The one guy just sort of turned away. You have the 3 sort of spilt cups down here and 2 upright cups up here, and the group of people sort of looking back and not really paying attention. He's set aside. Beautiful. And here is your 6 of Cups. You even have a little child down there. And then there's 4 cups up here, and there's 2 down there, so there's 6 cups there also, or jars or whatever. This one's interesting. Well, it doesn't really have cups on it. For the 7 of cups here, there are 7 birds flying in the sky up there. Imagination, visualization, whatever you want to go with. The future, the possibilities. Here's your very brightly colored 8 of cups. Let me zoom in here. It's probably a little hard to see from back there. These cards are so big I have to hold them way back. You can see down on the floor here, there's actually 8 cups all standing upright. There's what I always picture that as a woman, and this is a man, but whatever. Sitting here kind of facing the fireplace. The whole scene is inside. You can tell there's the roof right there. But I think that it really, you know, while it's not that Rider-Waite-Smith leaving under the moonlight kind of a thing, you know, there's so many places to go intuitively with this card. There's you've come to the door of someone, or someone has come to your door, you're leaving, you're going, you're coming, you're whatever. Here is your 9 of Cups. And this one definitely gets at that classic Rider-Waite-Smith with the happy, jolly innkeeper. He's there enjoying his cups. And this one looks very Rider-Waite-Smith with the arching cups across the top. Let me zoom in again for you. 10 of Cups. A whole family scene there too. And the happy countryside. Isn't that a beautiful card, you guys? It's such an amazing deck. Okay, and on into our court cards here. You have a happy page down there playing, oh, darn it, what's that thing called? Sitar? Is that what it is? Your Knight of Cups. Isn't that beautiful? While some of it does feel a little bit moody, almost a bit dark, there's nothing depressing about this. It's so enlightening and uplifting, and even though it's so darkly colored almost, I don't know, I find this deck so positive. It makes me happy to be alive, you know? Here's your Queen. Oh, by the way, sorry, that was your Knight, and check out the spelling there. Nigata. There it is. Right? I think all the rest of the Knights are actually like that. Anyway, there's your Queen of Cups. So colorful. There is your King of Cups. And here's your Ace, again spelled a little funny, but your Ace of Swords. I'm not sure if this image has been messed with. He does draw, I've seen paintings of his where it looks just like this, where there's like swords, this exact style of sword actually on rocks like this. So that probably is an original painting. You'll see, I think you can kind of tell sometimes they're added onto the image here. Like this one has those different swords. I think that might be added there. I don't know, it'd be fun to go look up all these paintings and see what's different. That's your Two of Swords though, isn't that great? Lost in thought. And here's your Three of Swords. Here we go. They're like Roerich style swords that he likes to draw and paint, but those were, or they look like they've been added on. I'm not familiar with this painting. But doesn't it just get out that heartbreak? It is perfect without being your typical heart stabbed by 3 swords. Here's your Four of Swords. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Come on. And then you have, well, there's the 1 sword in the water down there, actually arranged like they are on the Rider-Waite-Smith, right? And then your 3 up here. Here's another one where I believe that these swords were added. Your 5 of Swords. Isn't that beautiful? The hidden city in the mists up there and the people traveling. This one is rather a different kind of a depiction. There's not a sword fight happening. You're gonna have to play with that one, see how it works for you. I enjoy that though. Here is your six of Swords. Look at him in his boat down there. Don't you want to be in that boat right now? Looking at the wonders of this scene. Oh my god, it's like a hidden secret cave or the entrance to Shambhala or something like that. And then you have the swords along the cavern wall there. And here is your Seven of Swords. He's carrying those 5 swords, and there's 2 more swords down there. Very familiar image. Here is your Eight of Swords, excuse me. Blindfolded woman surrounded by swords. You get it. You get it all. Very Rider-Waite-Smith. Here is your Nine of Swords. Really gets at that anxiety nightmare thing, just like the Rider-Waite-Smith. Very dark card. And then here's your Ten of Swords. Instead of, literally a body stabbed in the road, you still get like this idea of death and even being stabbed everywhere. And you get those classic Roerich style swords. And then here's your Page of Swords. I really love this page. This bow and arrow, which works for the sword so good. The look on his face. And then our funny misspelled Knight of Swords. But look at how cool he is with his dragon. Holding his sword. He looks like a classic knight. It's like it was made to be a tarot deck, some of these artworks, right? And here's your Queen of Swords. Something a bit melancholy about her. She's great, isn't she great? And here is your King of Swords. Oh my god, you guys know why I love this one so much, right? He looks like Odin or something. I friggin' love this King of Swords. Hello, All-Father of the Mountains. Isn't that great? There's something kind of 70s sci-fi about that. I love that card. Alright guys, here we go into our suit of pentacles. Here is your funnily spelled Ace of Pentacles. And as I mentioned before, this symbol is called the sign of peace, I believe. And it's one of Roerich's symbols, but it's come to represent what was known as like the Roerich Pact. And basically what that was, it's so fascinating. It's it's this pact, this treaty that was signed back in the 30s, I believe, that had to do with the preservation of art and architecture during times of war. It basically said that, like, culturally and historically significant places and things, that they have precedence legally over any sort of a military necessity. And it was signed into law by the US and lots of other countries. He was nominated for like Nobel Peace Prizes and all sorts of things, but yeah, isn't that an amazing like accomplishment? And you could see how important that would be during World War I, World War II, and all the destruction of art and places. Here you can see 2 signs of peace right back there, and check out this 2 of Pentacles. What is that? An antelope or something? Why can I never identify animals in my videos? Isn't she beautiful? Good 2 of Pentacles. He really has. He's just led such an interesting, fascinating life. He was even like a stage designer and a costume designer for like ballet companies and toured with shows and things like that. He's just an artist through and through. There's even this sort of a strange story out there, I don't know if it's true or not, having something to do with Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, and how Roerich may have actually been the one with the idea for that, or something like that. Here's your 4 of Pentacles. Gorgeous. It gets at it, right? It's all there. Here's your 5 of Pentacles. Oh, I just love this card. Those are all those little signs of peace along the side there. I think that he really took the Dostoevsky's idea and ran with it. That idea that beauty will save the world. I think you believe that. I believe that. It's a beautiful idea. Here is your 7 of Pentacles. Isn't that good? Like bringing things to market and to sale and all that. I think that's all in that image right there. He he even believed that like the triumph of his own culture, of the Russian culture, would come about through a new appreciation, he said, of ancient myth and legend and art. I can't imagine being Russian and living through the times that he lived through, all the upheaval in his country. Look at my blue hand. Oh, that's so funny. Anyway, that's your 8 of Pentacles. It's good. It's good. And here is your 9 of Pentacles. This actually, let me zoom in. That's a woman over here too, so you can still get your sort of woman taking care of business kind of thing going on. Even though there's a bunch of other people there, she's still kind of the focal point, I think. Not great. And then I actually really like what's been done with the 10 of Pentacles here. It's that happy home community, the whole thing. But there's 5 stars up in the sky, and you can see them reflected down below, the 5 stars in the water here. So it gives you 10 stars as 10 Pentacles. And then your Page of Pentacles. This is another personal favorite, really. Look, he's meditating with the sign of peace right above his head. Your funny spelled knight. Oh, I lied. Look, there is one on horseback. Just kidding. You get 1 knight on horseback. Your Knight of Pentacles. Looking very Eastern, and he even has like 3 signs of peace on his little shirt. And then he's got the same sign of peace on his sleeve, or her sleeve, excuse me, the Queen of Wands here. I love how she's looking out over the world, though. There's something about her that feels motherly in a way, and I like that in a Queen of Pentacles. And there's your King of Pentacles. Let me zoom in on him. Old man looking out over the worlds, and your sign of peace. Is that our last card? It is! Back to our Fool, our way to Kailash. So, yeah, I just love this friggin' deck, and Nicholas Roerich is an amazing symbolist and visionary painter, and the artwork in the form of tarot is just such a fun way to enjoy his artwork. Just so you know, too, there is a big museum in New York that I would love to go to one day, the Nicholas Roerich Museum. I'll put a link down to that guy below. And I will also link all the stores that I can find that stock either this version of the deck or one of the 2 smaller versions of the deck. Like I said, I think Tarot BG actually has the whole box set on sale at the moment. Otherwise, you can always try your luck on eBay. Sometimes this deck can be a little bit hard to get your hands on. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap things up there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you real soon. Bye.